Hallelujah. My name is Pastor Dr. Adebola Olakule Igbekele. I am the General Overseer of Upon Mount Zion Revival and Bible Ministry. I deem it fit at this time to make a remark on the controversial commentary going on the Christian genocide in Nigeria. By the grace of God, I have been carrying out research on the religious crisis in Nigeria. I remember in 2012 when I wanted to embark on a particular research topic, public relations strategic management in religious crisis in Nigeria. That was a specific topic I wanted to embark on. But then I was discouraged not to go into it. Now why? Now listen. I consulted different experts who live in the north, and I was concerned not to come. Dangerous for me to embark on such research. And they explained to me that several Christians have been killed, and if I should come there to embark on such a research, that my life may go for it. Then I also met with the pastor then, who told me that some of the members, some of the pastors in Kaduna were massacred and many of them were killed. So it caused me also not to embark on some research. So I dropped the idea of embarking on some research. But then it came to me 4 years after, when I needed to go for my PhD. I actually having passion to research on this religious crisis in the northern part of Nigeria and how this could be resolved. Because I am a public relations expert. I major on public relations strategic management. That is my area. So I want to see how to use this strategy to manage religious crisis. So I needed to pick up the topic again. Let me remind you the topic: public relations strategic management in religious crisis. So I pick it up. This time around, I decided not to tell anybody. Although those who heard about it counsel me not to do it. That I want to endanger my life. They want me. I call people in the cold north. I call people in Southern Kaduna. And some of the people I could link up with, I was advised never to come. That it is very, very dangerous. But because I have passion for this, I want to know how many Christians have been killed. I want to know how these very evil acts could be put to an end. I have that passion. So, without telling anybody, I embarked on it. And I went straight to Southern Kaduna. That was my first place of call. So when I got there, Southern Kaduna, I arrived there on Monday. And I went straight to a church that is Seventh-day Adventist. When I got there, the pastor in church told me that several members of the church were killed, weekend before the Monday I got there. And I saw many people who were relatives of the people that were massacred. It was a very gory sight. It was so touching. I couldn't bear it. And the pastor told me I should be very careful on the research I came to carry out, because this is what they are experiencing on daily basis. And from there, I went to other churches to sample their opinion. I gathered my data. I was there for several days. And really, I was exposed to some of these atrocities. Live, I could see what was actually happening. I went deep inside Southern Kaduna, where Christians were really massacred. Some of the buildings were shown to me. I went and see physically some of these buildings that were burned down by Fulani headers and these so-called jihadists and Boko Haram insurgents. So these really are happening on daily basis. I have my data. I have the data of numbers of Christians that have been killed. Although some of the data really they are even below of the real data of people that have been killed. So for somebody to come up and say there is no genocide against Christians in Nigeria, that person is telling blatant lie. And the federal government and the federal government agencies that are defending this genocide against Christians in Nigeria, I want to see them as an advocate for the devil. They are not doing right. Many Christians are being killed on a daily basis. And some of the journalists too, who try to analyze and critique this on their platform, okay, I see them to be ignorant of these facts. Because many of them could not do what we did, what I actually did. Nobody, I don't know how many of these journalists that can venture their life and conduct this very empirical research to ascertain the number of Christians that have been killed. So you can't just sit down in your studio and say there's no genocide against Christians in Nigeria. You cannot just be in your comfort zone and say there's no genocide against Christians in Nigeria. Do you have your facts? We have your fact. We have our fact. I have my fact specifically. Now listen to me. Some of you argue that this Boko Haram issue, it affected Christians and affected Muslims alike. That is not true. Can you tell us the number of mosques that have been razed down? I will tell you the number of churches that have been burned down to ashes. Number of Christians that have been killed, targeted and killed. And nobody, did anything about it. Government kept mute. So I want to believe that it is the blood of the Christians that have been massacred that is really crying out for vengeance. That is why the president of America, Donald Trump, is coming up at this time and crying out that he is going to search Nigeria and is going to come after the Boko Haram insurgent and put an end to the genocide of Christians in Nigeria. It is the blood that is crying for vengeance. I know a day like this will come. Because they cannot be killing these Christians on a daily basis and think that everything will just be going on that way without end. No, it is God that is rising up using Donald Trump as his agents to stop these barbaric acts and genocide against Christians in Nigeria. Because it appears that Christians in the northern part of Nigeria, they are handicapped. They've cried, their voices are not coming up. They are not recognized. And they are killing them. And nobody is doing anything about it. So it is high time that these evil acts should come to an end. So Donald Trump coming up, it is God who is rising up to defend his people. And nobody of any kind should argue against this Donald Trump coming up to stop this insurgent and stop the killing and genocide against Christians in Nigeria. So there is heavy genocide committed against Christians. If there's any other adjective to use for it, I think it will be more appropriate at this time to describe the killing of Christians in Nigeria. Okay? So I make my remark that Donald Trump should rise up quickly and do what he needed to do to let this genocide against Christians in Nigeria to stop, to put an end to it. It is high time. And God is rising up for his people. And God will defend his people. Enough is enough. Yes, enough is enough. That is what God is saying in Nigeria. Enough is enough for the killing of Christians.